Hello everyone, great to have so many people joining this Smart Talk. I'm Samuel Hovanesyan. I represent the Brusov State University, the Management Master's Program. And today we are having a Smart Talk on the topic of how to write projects that win. And we have the perfect person to make the speech, the talk, because Elena Simciuc, she has wide experience in writing different projects and getting financing for them. And also we know her from different cooperations for the Eastern European countries, and particularly the SMART project that started the smart entrepreneurship cafes in Armenia and different countries. So great to have everyone here. Thank you, Elena, for joining. You have the floor. Elena, you can start.
Thank you very much, Samuel. It's really nice to meet you, and I'm happy to be here today. So I will share with you my experience, how I started, how I decided actually to write the project, how I did it, and how it is going now. So first of all, for those who don't know me, I would like to introduce myself. I'm director of the Center for European Studies, Eurostudies, Moldova State Agrarian University. Also, I'm working for Moldova State University. But some years ago, when I take the birth to my child, I decided that I want to do something really useful and what cover my knowledge all together with new skills that I can acquire. So I tried to read the guide and download the application. It was my first try, and it was not so successful. I get some evaluation. I was very angry, but after some time, I decided to read them again, and I get the point of the evaluators, and I tried to adjust my proposal. So the next try was successful, and I was selected for funding with the SMART project, fostering university enterprise cooperation and entrepreneurship of students via startup cafe or smart cafe. So the main idea to foster the knowledge of academic staff and develop the skills of those young innovative students who want to launch entrepreneurial projects, innovative entrepreneurial projects, and who want to collaborate via open innovation with the strong companies. So I became the co-coordinator of this project, and after some time I started to design other proposals like within the same program Erasmus Plus, but different activity. And it was Jean Monnet projects. Both, some of you already participated in the trainings we get with Mr. Kachatran this summer. So currently, and also I became this summer the coordinator of two more projects. One of them is Jean Monnet, and the other is the big projects connecting university industry through smart entrepreneurial cooperation and competitive intelligence of students in Moldova, Georgia, and Armenia. So this will be the continuation of the SMART project, and I hope that it will be also very interesting and you can be directly involved in these activities. Well, after some time, when I started to write the projects, I had not special studies at that moment, However, I did my basic studies are closely linked to the legal field of activity. So it's mean that I know how to argument, and I was at school, I was good enough in math, chemistry, physics. It's mean that I have analytical skills and I know how to calculate. It's very useful for those who decide to design the project, because you really need to have different skills, different capacities in order to start your first project. Along with the skills, you need deep knowledge. And in this case, why I started to write about the entrepreneurs, because it's closely linked to my personal experience. So I was about to launch a business project in my 20s, and it is successful enough. And even today. So, but I get the memories about the problems I met at that moment when we launched this business. So everything, all this together, make me to think about what can I bring to society and how can I share my experience. It's mean that you need not only to be you have to be very patient of exploring and studying. You need to be responsible and also be ready to hard work. It doesn't mean that you don't need to be successful, because it's very important when you have your professional capacities, knowledge, and also success. So I would say that it's a combination of different three parts. But however, I think that you should ask me how many projects, you know how many I won, but you can ask me how many I submitted. And I just made some calculations, and my success rate, it's about 0.22%. It means that I wrote altogether about 22 project proposals, and I was selected for funding only for 5. So you should be very insistent when you decide to start your project management career. Now, taking into account that we are coming from different fields and I don't know you, I would like to ask you if you have some knowledge about project management. And please select the answer A, B, or C.
And yeah, you can type the answer in the chat, everyone. Yes.
So I can see that our participants or have some knowledge, or they know, or they have some even profound knowledge about project management. It's very...
I would say, because most of the participants are students of management master's program and they study project management, but I'm sure they don't have all the practical skills that you have, Elena, and they would benefit a lot from this meeting.
Thank you, so I hope so. By the way, I will kindly ask you, all the participants, to type your questions. During this session, please let us know your desires, your needs, because maybe if it will be really useful for you, we will decide to continue this, and next time we will propose the other type of interaction, for example, question answer session or something like this. So please feel free to chat and let us know your questions and your needs and desires. How do you think which number has an important significance for project management? I already mentioned this once, and let me check how attentive you are. So, yes, Astik, you are right. This is the number 3. And why it is the number 3? Because this morning I was sitting and thinking that the first thing, when you arrange your work, you need your participants, your application form, and your budget. These are 3 main things for arrangement of the whole proposal. The other thing is stages for the project proposal application preparation. And this is the period before, during, and after. This also the number 3. The other thing that I noted, part of the application form, and you have your argumentation from policy, necessity, points of view, target group, innovation, character. So this is the whole part where you explain everything. The next part is logical framework matrix, and this is the heart of the project. And after this, you are going in deep details with the description and some parts of budget. So I would say that number 3 is a really significant number for the project management. Let me continue. So I would like to pay your attention on different stages of the project proposal preparation. You have the stage before, because once you get your idea, you should start with the guide. You need to read the application form, the guidelines, and policies of your donor, because you should follow the logic of that investor which will finance your proposal. After this, if you think that your idea can be embedded in the requirements explained in the guidelines, you will try to start with the partner search. And it's really very important, because you need to understand that once your proposal is selected, it will be your team who will implement it with you day by day. And the results which you want to achieve directly depend on that consortium partners which you will select. By the way, the other 3 things just came to my mind, that personally you need skills, knowledge, and team. Coming back, you also have to read the reporting documents and templates and other relevant documentation. When you will do your explanation, your argumentation in the first part of your project proposal, you need to understand what your donor will want from you afterwards or during the implementation period. Thus, you will study what they see as a sustainability and quality assurance strategy. All this is the preparations stage until you printed your application form and started to fill it in. Sorry. You decided to fill it in, and you wrote everything inside, and you was successful enough, you received your grant. Then you should prepare your grant agreement, will be your book for the whole period of the implementation, along with the guidelines, because all the rules, everything that you will, how you will work with your partners, everything is explained in these two documents. As a rule, Brussels also organize events for the managers or coordinators and explain the rules of play. But you know that the main thing is written in the documents. So you have your grant agreement and you start to conclude the partnership agreements. You follow the guide, the lines explained in the guideline, and sometimes you have something like guidelines for the use of the grant. Previously, we had such explanation book, but in the meantime, it's disappeared and it doesn't exist anymore. However, you can find it on the Google, due to Google search. You should respect your working plan and follow all the indicators in your logical framework metrics. You distribute your budget and reporting documents you keep, and start to see how you will arrange all that you are doing, all the documents that you collect, how you will attach them to the reports, final reports. And also, you always need to keep in mind that you don't finalize your project once the financing is ended, because one of the conditions and one of the rules, the things that you explain in your application form, is the sustainability criteria. It means that your investor, your donor, take your starting funding, and you should continue with the activities and other things that you proposed in your application form. Also, you should take, you will be guided by the same documents and especially by your application form. So now we are going to discuss the heart of the proposal, because if you can write your logical framework metrics, it means that everything is clear for you in your head, in your mind. And if it's clear for you, then it will be clear for somebody else who will evaluate it. If it's not clear for you, believe me, it will not be clear for the other persons as well. Liana just asked me about the work plan. Yes, Liana, I mentioned the work, it was mentioned about 1 year till 3 years, because now I'm mostly referring to the projects I'm implementing now. So the big projects, they have the duration from till 3 years. That's why I wrote from 1 to 3. However, the Jean Monnet project can be implemented during only 1 year. But all the time you should check the conditions for each grant and each activity which is financed by the donor. So it's not limited, but as a rule, donors take the financing for the period 3 years. I don't know, it's I didn't see financing for 5 or 6 years. but maybe for structural funds it's applicable. So some of you already participated some of you already participated during our Jean Monnet sessions, where we explained with Mr. Kachatran about this interesting impact canvas. I like it very much because actually from my experience, Ireland has the biggest experience, and they are those who usually get funds in a greater proportion than other countries. So I participated once during their training, and it was really brilliant. So I advise you to search for some materials elaborated by the Ireland companies, accounting or consulting companies. So I have this clear canvas, but I have also one that I did and color it, and it will be easier for us to understand. So you start with your idea, and afterwards you will arrange your aim, needs, analyze, and target group. But I would say that all these 3 points already should be ready till the moment you start to arrange your proposal. Because if you don't have your aim, it means that you don't understand really what you want. If you didn't work with your target group, it means that it's not so suitable that it will be really financed by your donor. And but in order to do your need analysis, you should select this target group with whom you will involve in the research of your needs and analyze these needs. And if you didn't select them and didn't work with them, then it will be quite complicated for you to select them later on. But let's start one by one. We suppose that we have our idea and we have a clear vision about our aim. And it means that we established our purpose and we want to achieve it. And thus you will address your proposals to the target group. And I would say that you cannot have more than 4 or maximum 5 target groups, because in this case it means that your project is too ambitious and you will not achieve any result. Don't try to resolve the society challenge by the only single project. It's impossible. So you should be smart enough to address that point which is wide and narrow at the same time. And this will be your aim. Further, you will think about the specific objectives, and these specific objectives are the steps that you follow in order to achieve your aim. These specific objectives will be reflected in your activities. So it's once you have your aim, you should think about your activities and you can reflect them in your specific objectives, and thus create the whole logic of your aim, which is reflected at the same time in outputs, outcomes, and your activities, which are closely linked all together. So coming back to the needs analysis. If you decide to be coordinator, then you have, and you decide, you also should decide which type of the project you want. It should be, it could be international or national, and this is the bigger difference. If you want to start with the international project, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to show that the same needs are in the countries you involve in the project. So, for example, if we wrote the capacity building project for Eastern Partnership countries, and we selected, for example, 2 or 3 countries among these Eastern Partnership countries, then it's needed that we should attest that the same problem exists in Armenia, in Moldova, and Belarus, in other Ukraine, other countries. If you and your partners should also do the same research. All together, you put your information and you agree that we really found that there is a need in our project. And you need to reflect and clearly explain this to the European Union, because all the projects, especially in last years, the European Commission is very exigent regarding the needs analysis. So they ask to do needs analysis at different levels even. So at internal level and national level, and also, if it's possible, an international level. So you decided about your challenges, your priorities, link about the objectives and activities. You arrange all this, you describe your target groups, and you going further. You start to express your objectives in your activities, which should be also very smart, and these activities will be divided in packages. So you cannot start from the middle of the way. You need to start with the preparation works. You show that you already did some analysis, but you have to make them deeper. And you explain this to the European Commission that we are going further, we will research it in more details, we will involve other indirect target groups, and thus you create the ground for further activities. The other packages that you will prepare, commonly known as development project, development work packages, where you describe actually what you are going to do as new within this project and how it will impact your results in the future. My slides are not changing because I explained this canvas, and we just follow all this vertical and horizontal rectangular, so we don't need to change the slide. Once you decide, and all that I explained previously is under the number 4, preparation stage of your application form. But all these stages are closely linked because it's something that you prepare until the submission of the application, and what you will realize during your implementation of the project. So it's very important to think at that moment which activities and methods you are going to use. And if your objectives clearly are expressed in your activities. If with such planned activities you will really acquire the results you want. There are so many videos regarding the SMART objectives. The SMART, it's mean specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, time-bound, and aligned. So you can just note for yourself that this is really something very important, and the evaluators they check how smart are your objective activities that you plan to implement further. At the same time, during the project application form preparation, you should think about the quality assurance, because this is one of the main points that you will need for the good implementation. And you need to select that partner in whom you really, on whom you trust, yes, who will help you in reality once you get your funding. I would advise to put also the audit during the project implementation. So you have enough sources to plan. You should think about the sources, and if you have this line for the audit during the project implementation, I would advise you to do it, because it will be easier for you and your partners to be sure afterwards that you are not going to reimburse something to Brussels. So after you was thinking about the quality assurance, you will think about how your project will be known by others. It's in business world we call it advertising, but in project management we call this dissemination activities. So thanks to Samuel and this smart talks instrument, we started to know better about smart project. This is how you get the information about he disseminated this, and you get the knowledge about something that is happening within the project or other activities. So it's also how you spread your outcomes, the activities of your project. You raise the awareness of national and international community. You should think at the project planning. You should think what you will disseminate, who is your target group, because the target group can be direct and indirect. And direct target group are those with whom you worked for the application preparation. And indirect target group are those who will benefit from the project results for example, if we record this video and we put it on the website, somebody else later on can watch it, and they will be indirect beneficiaries of the project. So how you can influence them indirectly. The other point is how are you going to disseminate your outcomes? Because always your activities should finalize and should be materialized in something touchable. It could be reports if it's about the project management activities. It is about books, manuals, it is about dissemination tools or websites or something that you really can feel or touch or use. And when will they be disseminated? So you have your plan and you should follow it, and it's strictly enough to follow, because once you delayed some activity, the others will automatically delete it. Can you give an example of indirect again? Yes, so for example, let's imagine that we have a project in which the main target about the entrepreneurial skills, and our direct target group in this case will be those who want to increase their capacities. If we involve universities, then it's mean that the direct beneficiaries will be students. But at the same time, the outcomes that will be produced during the project implementation, for example, book about project management or about risk management or time management, and it will be something touchable. You upload it on the website, and any person from all over the world can download this product and read it. So those who will download this product are indirect beneficiaries. It could be public authorities, for example. Actually, it depends each time on the fact who are your direct target groups, and you should think how others along with the direct target group can benefit from the results of the project, your outputs and your outcomes. By the way, do you want to let me know what is the bigger difference between outcomes and outputs? How do you think? You can write it in the chat. It's very easy, actually. So outcome, it's something short term, mid-term, yes, but I mean the essence, which is the difference between the two of them. Outcome is, yes, is the knowledge that we get and use. Good. It's always final result. Your accurate knowledge, it's also the final result, but it's like performance that you that level of the performance accurate because of activity, but output don't address the value. So we discussed briefly about the main parts of the project project planning. Yes, so we start with our idea, we prepare everything, and we start to think how we will implement it once we get the funding. I can propose you to use this link and to fill in this logical framework matrix, but it will be for, I think, those who want to train and update their skills. Now I would like to ask you if you have any questions till now, or any other question that we can discuss.
You can either type the question in the chat or just unmute yourself and speak. We have a question from Garnik. He says, could you please put the link in the chat? You mean the link to this document, Garnik? Because Elena has the link on the slides and later on she can share the slides with us, or you can see the link. It's easy to type in. Yeah, it's also in the chat now. Do we have other questions?
We can, if you want, we can discuss the other part of the project, not preparation, but already implementation. So we can imagine that you get your funding, and you can see also on this picture in green and yellow colors. I color it because these are actually main activities, main things that you will need during the implementation. And you start to work, first of all, with your partners, your consortium partners. You start to arrange all the technical questions. After this, you will need to agree with them about the rules, how your collaboration will be. It means that you reflect all the rules and conditions in the partnership agreement in case of Erasmus Plus projects or other type of cooperation agreements, because but you may always make reference to the main documents, and for you these are grant agreement and the guideline. So you should you should explain to your partners how you will work together, which activities will be, you start to arrange with them management activities. It means who will be responsible for what. Even if you already described this, something could be different from the moment you submitted your proposal till the moment this proposal was evaluated, because sometimes it's the evaluation can be about 6 or 8 months. Even once I was involved in a cross-border project, and the whole submission, it was divided in 3 different parts. The first part we submitted, we waited for the evaluation next 6 months. After this, we added a big part of the technical documentation, because this cross-border project was linked to the reconstruction of the building. So we attached many different documents, and we waited for their evaluation, and only after that we also submitted other documents and also waited. So you can imagine it can be for 2 years even the duration of the project application or submission process sometimes. So even if you planned all these things in your application form, you should take into account that all of us are human beings, and our lives changing every day. Even the coronavirus is a good example. We have a question.
Yes. But he says you already answered it.
I think there are other two questions now. Is it possible?
So I can read it out. Yep. So Garnik says, is it possible to make any changes in the partnership agreement if it will be needed, or what had been written should be done for 100%? For instance, a partner refuses to cooperate further and we need to make changes.
It can happen. So you need your partnership agreement. That's why I paid your attention at the very beginning that once you get your idea, you should select a very truthful partners on whom you really can rely and with whom you suppose that you will not have any problem in the future. But it's impossible, of course, because you involve not physical persons, but you involve legal persons. And it means that all of them have their directors, rectors, or somebody else, and something can be different anyway. So partnership agreement is the basic document where you can, in which you will reflect the most important things that you think. And in the most cases, from my experience, these are financial relationships. Because if you will not explain clear rules of the funding and the type of activities, eligible activities for which the partners could be reimbursed, then you as coordinator can be punished further. So that's why you need also the auditor during the project implementation, and that's why you have your final report, midterm report as a rule, and final report. Even if you have some problems during the project implementation, it's always function the same rule. First of all, you should try to resolve any problem in a patient way, and only after this you will not have other option than to decide it via court or tribunal. But as a rule, it's enough to prevent somebody about that something is not going good, and then partners try to cooperate, because you know, especially if it is international projects, sometimes you can have some problems, and you can be so busy that you had not enough time to prevent your coordinator about them, but your coordinator was waiting from you something. That means that you just need to clarify after this address, but everything that you are doing should be done in written form. Even mails are considered as proofs. So be very attentive what you are writing, how you are writing, and at which time you are writing. Do you have other questions, or shall I continue further?
Yes, sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Dear Elena, but for me it's difficult to write a question. If you are not against, I will ask like this. For example, I have an idea, I want to implement my project. Are there any institutions in the world who are ready to, like mentors, who are ready to help and to tell me the ways how to implement my project? This is my first question, and if it is free or it is for payment. And I have also second question. For example,
let
or
me answer
okay.
the first one.
Okay.
You have one question with two sub-questions. The first was about if there are any organization which can help you to implement. But first of all, you need to, the implementation is the second part. So the second step, first of all, you should explain clearly to this organization what you want to do, and they need to accept your idea. And only after this, you can go further and implement your project. And this is a part answer for the second, for the second part of your first question. If it's free of charge or you should pay. If you have good partners, I mean, those who know how to write the project, or you can consult a video, upload different materials and read them, then it will be for sure free of charge. If you will address your request to the consulting company, of course, they will ask you for the payment, because there are many different companies that are ready to write, and they have also the success rate. In Brussels, there are even organizations which are working closely with the European Commission. It's like legal lobbying of their interests. So, but this is the other part. Anyway, yes, for sure, you can schedule, design your proposal, and once it was financed, then you can go further and implement with your partners or alone. It depends on the nature, if it's national or international projects. And the second question was about?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the first question. And the second, for example, I have a project I want to implement, and I applied for a funding, and the funding company, for example, I need $1 million for fulfillment, and the funding company is ready to support me halfly for 500,000. Can I, meanwhile, apply for another funding company to get the rest support?
Well, there are international donors. It's very important here to clarify. We are talking about company, investor, who is ready to finance you half, or we are talking about the donor organization who also applied the same scheme, but it's always written in the conditions of guideline or rules, or you can call it how you want. It's always written that you can apply for, you can find the second part of your financing and ask the other donor to complement the first part. In some cases, it is not possible. The same, I think, it will be applicable for the investors. But in the case of investors, I think that they will be more happy if you find the other investor. I can explain you, for example, the venture capitals. They can finance something. They take some shares from your capital, and you can involve the other business angels or venture capitalists who will support you with the other parts, and you also take them your share. And in the case of donors, they expressly mention the rules. If you need to come with your own funding, or you can address the request for the other donor, and it will be the suitable manner.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Naina, for the question. Thank you, Elena, for the answers. We have another question from Liana Ananian, and she's asking that during the COVID pandemic, a lot of maybe project managers had issues with the implementation. Because of the pandemic, they had to take other actions and they couldn't follow the rules and had to talk about with partners again. So she says, is it okay to change the implementation? Because international projects usually have strict rules and you have to follow them. But what about this force majeure situation?
It's always, there is a clause in the grant agreement about force majeure situations. And the environmental problems is one of them. So it depends on the nature of your project. For example, within the SMART project, we also have the same problem. We needed to organize our training courses using face-to-face methodology. What we did, we agreed among the partners and also in accordance with the national legislation that we are going to organize them online. So if you cannot resolve by yourself the problem, then you address the request to the Brussels and they let you know how to proceed. For example, within my Jean Monnet project, I have such a type of the project that that I have to organize different events in which are involved more than 70 or from 70 to 100 persons, including the international experts which need to come. And I cannot overcome this because the methodology of the calculation of the budget is based on the per diems and travel costs of the experts. In this case, I cannot proceed otherwise than ask the Brussels for the delay. And afterwards, I'm going to ask for the prolongation of the project. You also have such an opportunity, but it always depends on the conditions, and it's always explained clearly in your agreement. Otherwise, you can ask your officer who is following you. And if it's accepted, it also will be written like an email. You should keep the proof of the acceptance done by the officer, and you attach it to your map with all the documents, and you're going further.
Thanks a lot. Do we have any more questions? You can just unmute yourself and ask the question if it's more convenient. Seems not. We can continue.
If I can, thank you.
Yes,
can I? First of all, once more, thank you for this project and webinar. You said, Elena, that one who's implementing project should follow 100% the steps that are mentioned in the agreements or in the documents, yes? And in this way, the flexibility isn't high enough. So there are moments when you should make some changes in your project. For example, you got the financial, you got the funding, I don't know, you prepared everything, and the place where you should hold your project isn't working anymore. How these kind of problems are going to be resolved? Or I don't know.
May I ask you what you mean What does it mean, the place where the
I mean, it can be the venue, it can be the area for the workshops, I don't know, any kind of activity that should be held in a venue, but it isn't working anymore. So in this case, you should approach to Brussels, or what to do?
So you approach to Brussels with the question that you cannot resolve. If this activity take place in one country and you, for example, plan it to organize it in the hotel X, but you will organize it in the hotel Y, it is not a problem. But if you plan it to organize a management meeting in Moldova, but because of coronavirus, you cannot arrange it, then you need to keep the proofs why you could not arrange it. And once the situation is clarified, you organize. Otherwise, you can organize this event online. Or if, for example, we planned a meeting in Moldova. Let me explain you. Each 6 months, as a rule, we plan a management meeting for the project, duration of which is about 3 years. It was planned to have a project management meeting in Moldova this spring. We could not arrange it. So we agreed to arrange it for the autumn. The next meeting should be done in Belarus, and the last one, once again, in Moldova. Taking into account that coronavirus is still in force, and we are not able just, to organize any meeting, I'm going to propose to my partners that we will skip this one and organize the other one. However, in the end of the project, we can make the stay longer or ask the Brussels to arrange the other meeting. And in this case, we need their acceptance. So if it's something that make you pay for something additional that was not planned from the very beginning, then you ask your permission. If it's something that it's not so serious, you can resolve it by yourself.
Thank you, Elena. Do we have any more questions? Seems no. I guess we can continue.
Sorry, Samuel. Maybe you will think about the questions and let us know what other things you would like to know. And next time I will come with more details about the different parts of the project management, because it's quite complicated to explain the whole project management during 1 hour. Even in 2 hours, it's not possible. So I tried to present the whole picture, but once you start to write it, you have other questions. And I even propose to you to write something. And if you will have questions, you can address them, and we can organize a series of events by explaining you what you should include in this part of the project proposal or that part of the project proposal, on what you should pay more attention, where you can find the information, how to read the guide, how to read between the lines, etc.
This is a great suggestion, Elena, and thank you for offering it. So I would suggest everyone to write to us, our Facebook page or the email, you have it. It's Management Master's Program in Armenian, and the email, you got notification about this event, so you can respond back. and just send us your questions. Based on that, we will compile relevant topics for meetings, and if Elena will have available time, we would love to arrange new meetings.
I also can share with you the Word document with this creating impact canvas, and those who will want, we can share with them.
Sure, and the document we can share with the recording of this event, because later on we always post it on YouTube, our Facebook page, and the website of the university, Moldova State University. Yeah, we are getting messages. People are thanking us for the meeting. Elena, did you have anything to add today, or we can?
I just would like to thanks again for the organizers of this event. It's really, I really appreciate your efforts, and I will be happy to continue with our participants. So looking forward for new collaborations.
Great, thank you everyone. So as a reminder, the recording of the video will be sent by email to everyone, and please continue following our Facebook page, because we will have more smart talks coming in. We also plan to have more not random talks, but to have more series of talks which will build on the existing knowledge. So in this sense, there are lots of plans. Just follow our page to get updated, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you, Elena, for this great talk, and it was really helpful, and I think everyone would benefit it, both people from the NGO sector and people who are have startups or doing business, because current times there are many opportunities for businesses even to apply for grants and financing. Like the government of Armenia has such a program for startups as economic activities for the COVID. So in this sense, understanding the framework, understanding the way you should present your idea, and what structure to use this, how to present your startup in the best way is helpful for everyone. So thanks a lot once again. Thank you everyone. It was great having you, hosting you. See you later.